fun, food, and fashion with me.
Thank you, Dan. This is the B. Smith and Thank You, Dan show on SiriusXM. I'm B. Smith along with my husband. Thank you, Dan. Well, we're happy to welcome to the show interim news and lifestyle editor for Ebony.com, Brooke Obie. Brooke, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, good, good, good. How long have you been at the magazine?
So Ebony.com relaunched last February, and that's when I came on board.
Oh, good.
So I've been writing for them for about a year, and then came on as the interim news and lifestyle editor about 6 weeks ago.
Great.
Our editor's out on maternity leave. Thank you.
Good, good.
Sweetie used to be an Ebony model.
Yes. Yes.
She,
Back in the day.
She did the 77 cities in 78 days.
Wonderful.
We were all over with that Greyhound bus, and we had our wardrobe in it. We had our dressers, and it was great.
Awesome.
Little cat fighting every now and then. Keep things, you know.
happens, yes.
yes.
So
But that was great.
your role as the lifestyle editor, talk to us about how this whole thing came about.
Well, actually, Jamila Lemieux is our news and lifestyle editor,
Right.
and she is out on maternity leave. And so I stepped in for her, and I'll be, when she comes back next week, I'll be a contributing editor from then on. So, yeah, we've been working. I've known Jamila Lemieux for about 4 years now. She's just an awesome, awesome writer. And we formed a friendship, and she trusts my writing. So she asked me to come in and step in for her while she's on her maternity leave with her brand new baby girl.
Oh, that's
Nice.
fantastic. Yes.
Well, you send her our best when you
will
talk
do
to
that,
her
yes.
again. So, you recently wrote an article entitled "Dropping the Faith When Role Models Slip."
Yes.
So, why do you think it's hard to maintain the faith when our spiritual leaders let us down?
I think it's difficult because we tend to place way too much responsibility on our spiritual leaders to manage our own faith. Instead of being accountable for our own faith. I feel like there are too many times that we believe that our pastors, that our spiritual leaders, even our parents or people that we look up to who have taught us the faith, are basically kind of responsible for whether or not we maintain our faith. And so when we become so attached to a person as opposed to having a personal relationship with God for ourselves, then it becomes very, very easy for us to disregard the faith or walk away from the faith when those people slip up, when they, make mistakes, or if they die, or, if they're not around to watch us, then it becomes very easy for us to kind of back away from that faith because it's not really ours. It's really a faith in people as opposed to our faith in God.
Go ahead, Anya. You were about to say something?
No, go ahead.
Oh, so what have you had that actual situation in your own individual, in your own personal life where you looked up to someone and their attitudes or actions or whatever let you down? Is that what inspired this article?
It actually came, like many of my articles do, it actually came from a conversation that we were having at Ebony.com, just among my coworkers. And they were saying that, they didn't necessarily want to continue going to church because there are too many hypocrites in the church. It's just a very common argument. There are hypocrites all over the place. And so there's no point in that. And I actually had an experience where I wanted to walk away from the faith because of things not going well in my life that I felt like was God's fault. And so, we place, I guess, different, whether it's an idea or whether it's people, we give these people people and ideas so much power over that faith with God and kind of miss the point. So that's kind of where it grew out of my own personal experience and then conversations that I have with friends and coworkers.
And after putting together this article, what has been the feedback from that conversation and everything? What has your readers deduced from that?
It's actually received some pretty good feedback. People kind of felt a little bit called out on this and have been saying that they're going to re-examine their faith and re-examine, what what the root of it is, as opposed to, putting so much pressure on other people to kind of define that faith for them.
So what you're saying is they're thinking about coming back to the faith. They had left the faith and now they're coming back, or they're going to give it a second chance independent of that person that they held up on the pedestal.
Absolutely, giving it a second chance independent of that person. And, whether it's seeking out a new church, because again, one of the things that I point out in the article, there are times when you have spiritual leaders who mess up really badly, and not that, God won't forgive them or whatever, but if that person is jeopardizing your relationship, one of the things that you have to do when you own your faith is to protect it. And so if there's some spiritual leader that's jeopardizing that, then you have to find a new place immediately. You just have to keep going, and you have to find some place that's going to nurture you and take care of you. And so I think that was what came out of this for some people, that, yes, this person messed up, and no, I don't necessarily want to be under that person's leadership, but I'm going to find a better place where I can better relate, where I can better connect with God, and find people who are going to help me along that path.
When we look up to others, we tend to put them on a pedestal,
right,
as you know very well. How can we remind ourselves that they're just human?
I think that's it right there. We have to accept the human condition. That's one of the things that I recommend in the article, for people to be able to separate people from their faith. It's just accept the fact that people mess up, and they
Nobody's
mess up every
perfect.
day. Exactly.
Yes.
So, as long as we keep that, and we mess up, that's another thing. It's very easy to point out what other people are doing, but when we acknowledge the fact that we mess up every single day, it kind of becomes easier to say, okay, this person is flawed too, just like me. And so I'm not going to put so much pressure on this person to take care of what should be my own responsibility.
And what about that word forgive?
Yes, absolutely. And that's it right there. Forgiving people, and when you allow people to be human, that makes it so much easier to forgive them, because
they're human.
Exactly.
No one's perfect.
Exactly. And so when you have that forgiveness, you can not only move forward without animosity towards that person, but you're going to be open-minded when you get to a new church or a new place of worship, and not feel like carrying around all of that bitterness that you had at the last place, and kind of repeating the same mistakes from the last place.
Do you have, do you go back to that role model who might have been the mistake and have a conversation with that person?
I think it depends on how close you were with that person. It may be very, very helpful to actually say, this is, these are the things that happened, and this is how it made me feel. I've definitely done that. I've been in churches where I felt like things that were said and done, I felt it made me feel uncomfortable. And I did go and talk to the pastor, even though I didn't have a relationship. And whether or not, I continued to go there, I did express that was the case, in case that pastor didn't know that, or other people were feeling the same way.
So Brooke, where are young people today in terms of their feelings about faith? I get a sense that they're moving away from the church as opposed to the church. You're writing, you're on the ground. You're a young, a beautiful woman, intelligent, obviously very articulate. Where do you see young people today with regard to religion and organized religion?
Well, I do feel like there are people who are going away from that, and it's become very ugly, particularly with our in politics. We see a lot of people who are in organized religions coming out very strongly against things that young people aren't against or don't see a problem with, and so it's starting to conflict there. And so, but
the role of women, gay,
exactly,
whether a woman has a right
women's
to choose,
right, exactly. And so it really just becomes a point to where you're finding a church that supports what you believe. And there are plenty of them out there. There really are. There are progressive churches. There are churches that are involved in the community, that are helping people, that accept and love all people and try to help as many people as they possibly can. And if that lines up with what you believe, then you have to find that church. You can't put a blanket statement over what organized religion is doing, because there are some really, really awesome churches here in New York City that are doing awesome things in the community.
Brooke, if you could tell us what your path is, what would you say about your path?
My spiritual path? I am...
Or your life. It could be your life, not just your spiritual. It could be.
Well, I mean, I guess those are interchangeable for me. And it's the number one priority in my life, and I'm figuring it out just like everybody else. And that's what I love about this column. I have this space where I can talk about things that are that my friends are dealing with, that I'm dealing with. I also have my blog, districtdiva.com, which is
you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah,
too.
it's a Christian blog, and it's I just go through my faith, the things that I'm going through, and the journey, and that's really what it is. It's a journey, and nobody's going to be perfect, and I'm certainly not perfect. And one of the things that I really enjoy about having this space is that I get to express those imperfections so that people see, yes, it's a hard life, but it's worth it. And when you make mistakes, you can recover from that. And that's what makes it so awesome for me. And that's what makes me want to share it with other people, because I want them to know that even when you mess up, even when things feel bad, they look bad, there's so much joy in the future, and there's so much to look forward to, and you just have to keep getting up and getting forward. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I guess the obvious question, listening to you talk, is do you have a calling? Have you ever thought about divinity school?
Oh my goodness! So I did actually get into Howard University School of Divinity. Did
I shock you by asking you that?
Yes. I feel like it was a Master of Arts in Religious Studies, and I'm actually up in school here in New York, and so I don't think that I'm going to go back to DC and do that right now. But I feel like my ministry is writing. And so I don't necessarily have to be a Master of Divinity, but I study the Word regularly, Bible studies, church, and I have spiritual leaders that mentor me. And so everything I do, I want to make sure that it lines up, with the Word of God, and I'm not leading people astray or anything like that. And I definitely want to study full time the Bible. I think that would be really, really awesome. But at this point, I don't think that I.
You don't think? No. I'm teasing you, but no, because there are people who are religious. There are people who are theologians who want to understand and understand the meaning of all of the very tenets of the Bible, and the historical references and the circumstances that revolve about whether it's the Bible or Quran or what have you. And when I listen to you, I get a sense that you're not only speaking from one who is a devout religious person, but also almost like a theologian wanting to understand the very essence of why things are within the context of the Bible.
I would love to. Yes, absolutely. That's my main goal.
And so how did you get to, and I'm going to segue now from that to District Diva?
Okay, I started District Diva in 2009. I graduated from law school, and I was writing for a nonprofit organization in DC, and I kind of felt like my voice was getting lost because, again, when you work for somebody, you conform your voice to their voice. And so I started this blog to kind of, write how I was feeling and kind of own my own story. And then it kind of grew from there into a spiritual life blog, because it started off, I guess, I named it District Diva because I was in DC going...
Oh, you mean the district as in District of Columbia?
Yes. Well, now I'm in the financial district in New York, so it still counts. Yes. I can still
works.
Commutable.
Right.
Okay.
And, it started out as kind of a lifestyle blog, and then it just from there, when my life became, more about my spiritual walk, then my blog conformed to that as well. So that's how I started doing that.
And how has District Diva impacted people? Tell us what does it mean to the people who are following you?
I get so many emails.
What are they talking about? What
people? There's one in particular that I wrote it back in 2009 when I first started. And it's called "What to Do When He's Just Not That Into You." And
now, is that God or is that a guy?
A guy,
oh,
yes.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing. I talk about dating as a young,
but all of those things.
Well.
It's part
exactly.
Kids, young people need to hear for what happens in other people's lives.
Yes.
That are similar to them.
Think of me as your cranky uncle. Okay.
Okay. And I still to this day get comments and emails from that post about how healing it was for people, just to kind of see that there are people out here, there are young, Christian women who are struggling in relationships and who are having, difficulties, and they're trying to understand, they're trying to, live a life that would be pleasing to God. But, there's so many temptations. There are so many things, working against you in that. And so just to know that there's somebody else out there who is thinking what they're thinking, going through what they're going through, and kind of helping, saying, this is what I did. These are the mistakes that I made. Don't, you don't have to do that.
They can learn from your mistakes, and you can learn from their mistakes.
Absolutely. Yes. It's such a community. And I love my readers so much. I love dialoguing with them. It's great.
There's nothing better than passion.
Yes.
So where do you see District Diva going in the next couple of years? What ancillary offshoots will be emanate from District Diva?
I'm in school right now at the new school. I'm getting my MFA in creative writing.
So wait a minute, let me get this right. So you law school?
Yes.
You've toyed with a calling, and now you're getting your this Masters of Fine Arts.
Yes.
At the new school, which is a very progressive. So you're based in law and art.
Yes.
And God.
Research, writing. Yes, and
you're
every
a theologian.
I accept that. I'll accept that.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'm actually turning District Diva into a blog right now. So that's what I'm working on at school.
Oh, well, it's been wonderful chatting with you. We have to do this at another time,
yes,
too.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Thank you so
You're
much
doing
for
some
having
very
me.
interesting things and good things for the community, too.
Thank you.
Brooke,
Yes.
where can we go to read more of your column, The Spiritual Life?
Just everybody go to ebony.com. It's every Tuesday, The Spiritual Life runs. And you can follow me on Twitter at Brooke Obie.
Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just ahead in our Daily Dish segment, we'll be discovering Filipino food with Marvin Gapultos, author of the new book, The Adobo Road Cookbook. Yum, smells good already, and they haven't even been here cooking.